Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. And we're currently in the midst of an international break. Everyone loves the international break. It's everyone's favorite time of the season. Nothing much going on, nothing Chelsea related going on. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing a Chelsea Q&A. I put out a post on social media last night asking you for your questions. Thank you to those of you who sent your questions in. I've selected some of the best ones and I'll be answering them in today's video. But guys, before we get into the video, make sure you smash the likes on it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and leave your thoughts in the comments below as well. But let's get straight into it then, guys. And one question that appears quite a lot was surrounding the goalkeeping situation at Chelsea heading into next season. Obviously, as we know, right now, Kepa's the number one. Mendy's form has fallen off a cliff. We haven't seen him play for God knows how long. And it doesn't look like, I'd be surprised even if Mendy plays for Chelsea again. I know that might seem pretty extreme, but I look at the fixtures we've got left this season, and unless Kepa suddenly has a terrible run of form or picks up an injury, I don't see a way how Mendy gets back in. So, I mean, it looks to me that Mendy will be sold in the summer. And I predict now that I think Mendy's played his last game for Chelsea. I'm not sure how much money we'll get for him, but it's clear that the club are in the market for a new goalkeeper, whether that's a number 2 or a new number 1. I'm not too sure, but I think Mendy will definitely be sold. In terms of Kepa, I think it's a difficult one, what we do this summer, because you know, he's come in, we signed him for what, 70 odd million quid from Athletic Bilbao because either we couldn't get Alisson or we didn't want to pay the money to get Alisson. We kind of took a bit of a punt on Kepa. He started okay. He wasn't the best under Lampard. Quite a lot of errors creeping into his game. A lot of rumours that it was going to be sold before Tuchel came. It was close to him joining Napoli on loan or a loan move to Serie A. But obviously, he played a few times under Thomas Tuchel. Did really well. Didn't let the team down at all. And then he's become kind of number 1 under Graham Potter. And he's done very well for the large majority of it. Obviously, a few mistakes against Fulham and City, bounced back with a good run of form. A couple of poor errors in the the draw to Everton. And, you know, there's a lot of question marks around his long-term future. I mean, for me, I look at Chelsea and I think, look, we want to be challenging for the big trophies, winning the Premier League, get back to doing that. It's been too long since we even challenged for the title, let alone win it. And I just look at Kepa and I think good goalkeeper, but it's a position that we can do better in. We can definitely upgrade on. Kepa, you look at him and I think he's someone that's going to cost you more points than he wins you. He's always got a mistake in him. And I think that'll just be the case. I think he's a good goalkeeper, but I don't think he's a Premier League winning goalkeeper. So for me, whether we can do something in the summer, I don't really know. You look at the names that are being linked, you know, we're going to sign a new number 1 goalkeeper, which is hard to do because you look at the number 1s that would improve the position. You're looking at, you know, Mike Maignan at AC Milan. You're looking at De Stegen from Barcelona. You're looking at Oblak at Atletico Madrid as well, as 3 of kind of the standout names there. But some of the names that Chelsea have been linked with, you know, you're looking at Ilan Meslier, the young goalkeeper at Leeds, admittedly very good. But again, is that a significant upgrade on Kepa right now? I would suggest not. Potential to be better, absolutely. But if we're looking to sign a new goalkeeper, then we need to be bringing someone in that is a significant upgrade on Kepa straight away, not with the potential to be better than Kepa. You're looking at Meslier, who I think is a good keeper, as I said, but not better than Kepa right now. No. Then you look at the big links with David Raya from Brentford. Again, I think that's kind of a bit of a sideways move. Is he better than Kepa? Maybe in certain things, but as an overall package, is he significantly better than Kepa and would go and be a Chelsea number 1? I would suggest not. We've also been linked with Robert Sanchez at Brighton. I mean, Jason's still keeping him at the Brighton side now. So, I mean, he can't get in the Brighton team. Then there's no chance that you're going to come and be a number 1 at Chelsea. So I don't really know what I would do. I mean, if we can't get a number 1 goalkeeper, I would stick with Kepa and bring in some competition for him or a backup goalkeeper. So maybe, I don't know who, but you just go for an obvious number 2 and have Kepa as your number 1. I don't envisage Mendy and Kepa being sold this summer. Although you can never say never with Chelsea, but I'd be very surprised if we sold 2 keepers. My prediction would be that keep Kepa for number 1 next season, bring in maybe an older, more experienced number 2 keeper, and then we maybe try and address the goalkeeping situation the following summer. Although one other thought that I did have is maybe we could go for a bit of a a bit more of a veteran stopper, maybe a 1 or 2 season stopgap. Someone like maybe a Keylor Navas, who's out of favour at PSG on loan at Forest at the moment. Very experienced, good goalkeeper, could definitely do a job. Or maybe Manuel Neuer as well. I know it might be a little bit outlandish, but, he's fallen out of favour at Bayern Munich, still injured currently, but I'm not sure he'll play for them again. That could be a possible target as well. But for me, next season, I still expect Kepa to be the number one and will sell Mendy in the summer. Moving on to the next question that propped up. Is Graham Potter the right man for the project? Now, objectively speaking, it's quite difficult to analyse that right now. I mean, from what we've seen in his reign so far, the evidence would suggest no, because the results have not been good enough. The win percentage is one of the lowest of Chelsea managers over the amount of games that he's had, or just in general, minimum of how many games I forget now. And the results have not been good. That's perfectly clear. I think it's too early to make a judgment on whether he is the right man for the project or not. I absolutely want him to be the right man for the project. I want him to be a success. I want him to do really well at Chelsea, but there's a lot of things that have got to go his way. And I think, there needs to be a strong finish to the season, finish as high at the table as we can, get as far as we can in that Champions League. And I think ultimately Potter is going to be judged on how we start next season. For me, that's the real acid test. I'm not saying that none of these games now matter. Of course they do, because you've got to pick the results up. You've got to keep the fans on side. But in terms of if he's the right man for the project, I don't know right now. If we're looking at it on the evidence we've got during his reign so far, you would suggest not. But there's been a lot of variables that he's had to deal with. Virtually a completely new squad, juggling a 30-plus man squad, injuries to key players, virtually a totally different squad to what he had when he took over. These aren't excuses. I know they sound like excuses. These are just facts and reality of the situation. I know you don't get much sympathy when you're managing Chelsea, a top football club, with the quality you've got at your disposal. You're expected to get results, have kind of a patterns of play, a style of play established, perhaps, which you could argue maybe we haven't. But there have been signs that we have improved in recent times. Unbeaten in March, 4 games. Yeah, I know that's nothing to shout home about with the opposition that we played, but at the end of the day, some signs of improvement. The attack looks a lot better. We're scoring more goals now. But, I mean, does this mean that Graham Potter's the right man for the project? I don't know right now. I'd like him to be, as I said. But on the current evidence, as I'm asking this question, you would have to suggest that he wouldn't be. But I think he's a very good coach, and he can certainly be successful at Chelsea. But, there's still a long way to go to determine whether he will be or not. Mudryk and Madueke playing time was another one that was quite popular. I look at this 2 ways. Do I want these 2 players to be playing more? Yes, absolutely. Have we signed these players to make an impact now? Ideally, yes, but we signed them for the potential. We signed them for what they're going to do over future years. Like, these players aren't finished articles. They're raw. They're talented. They're rough diamonds, essentially. And yes, we want them to come in and make an impact now, but they're not signed to make an impact now. I don't think people fully understand how different, in Mudryk's case, the Ukrainian league is to the Premier League, and how difficult it is to adapt to it, how difficult it is to bed in. New style of football, new country. People forget that, Mudryk's left his homeland, which has been devastated by war, not played any football since November before he arrived at Chelsea. He's getting minutes. He's kind of having a bit of a pre-season to build his fitness back up. And the adaptation from the Ukrainian league to the Premier League, it's huge. It's absolutely massive. And you can't just chuck him in and expect it to work. So I think, whilst I'm frustrated that he's not playing more, I do trust Graham Potter and his man management and what he's doing in terms of managing Mudryk. I'm sure there's been conversations, and that, there's and he's explained the reasons why he's not playing as much as obviously he would like to play and as the fans would like to see him play. So, yeah, I'm not concerned about Mudryk's playing time. I want to see him play more, but I think it's just all part of the adaptation period, the bedding in process. And, just getting him up to speed so he's ready to hit the ground running. I think the reason he's not playing as much is because Graham Potter doesn't think he's ready to play as many minutes as we think he should be. And I think that is fair enough, although as frustrating as it is. And I think it's the same with Madueke as well, playing in the Eredivisie, yes, a higher level than the Ukrainian league. But I think it's the same for him. 21 years of age, not signed to make an impact right now, signed for his potential and what it can do over future years. So it's just the same for those guys. We just got to be patient with them and kind of trust what Potter's doing with them, and they will get more game time towards the end of the season. I'm convinced of that. So let's wait and see what happens with that one. But it is absolutely frustrating. No 2 ways about it. Best Chelsea signing in January. There's been some great ones. I'm a massive fan of João Felix. signed on loan. I think he's done really well for the club, given a big boost, a big lift, and he's kind of re-galvanized that attack, raised the levels of everyone around him. I say Enzo Fernandez, the standout. The guy's been phenomenal since he signed. There's been literally zero adaptation period required, slotted seamlessly into the side, seamlessly into the league. You can see his quality, there's a couple of assists that he's picked up, the range of passing, the way that he controls the midfield. He just oozes class, and you can just see what a player we've got on our hands. And, 106 million pounds on the evidence so far is looking like an absolute bargain. And I can't wait until we get a proper defensive midfielder to allow him to play further forward and do what he does best in the summer. And next season, I think we're going to see Enzo just go to another level. But, there's been some great signings in January, but Enzo Fernandez, 100% the standout signing for me. And finally, should Chelsea sign Denis Zakaria permanently? Now, there is a 30 million euro or 30 million pound buy option in the loan deal that Chelsea can activate at the end of the season if they wish to do so. Zakaria is an interesting one because it started kind of a bit acrimoniously for him. I remember doing videos a while back thinking that this guy's never going to play for Chelsea. He got his opportunity, he scored on his debut against Zagreb in the Champions League at home, and then he's had a run of games in the side where he's done very well. Obviously, picked up an injury at Fulham, and then he's not had too many minutes since that injury, which is a little bit unlucky for him, I suppose, because he was doing really well, and that injury kind of come at the worst possible time. But I think if he can have a strong finish to the season, depending on who leaves and what midfielders we bring in, I think you could do a lot worse than signing Zakaria as a squad player for 30 million euros. But again, you're looking at the players that Chelsea are linked with in the summer in midfield: Declan Rice, Manu Toney at Mönchengladbach. Maybe we might go back in for Moises Caicedo potentially. Romeo Lavia at Southampton as well. There's kind of these guys. These are guys that would be ahead of Zakaria in the pecking order in terms of players that you want to sign. I don't know if it's going to be two big names in terms of would it be a Rice and a Lavia, or would it be Rice and maybe a Zakaria, a slightly lesser midfield player. I think Zakaria has done reasonably well. Is he worth signing permanently? I think that's a conversation to be had at the end of the season. I need to see him keep up that pre-injury form for the rest of the season, and when he gets given the opportunities to do so, in order for me to think this would be a guy worth signing permanently. At the price, it kind of it's attractive, but you've got to see the form to back it up and kind of make it a worthwhile investment. And as I said, when you see the players that we're linked with in the summer, Zakaria's not anywhere near as good as those players. So I don't know. It depends who goes. Will Loftus-Cheek goes? Does Gallagher go? Will Kante sign a new contract? There's a lot of players in and around the midfield area that are going to either stay, go. So yeah, a lot of it depends on that, and depends on Zakaria's form for the rest of the season. But if I'm saying right now, I would say no. But ask me again at the end of the season, the answer might be slightly different. But I think with the way the club's trying to go, Zakaria probably isn't quite of the quality required moving forward to take this Chelsea midfield and this Chelsea team to where it wants to be ultimately. You're looking at Enzo, Kovacic, maybe a Lavia, maybe a Declan Rice. These guys are all kind of better players than Zakaria, and I think the likes of Gallagher, Loftus-Cheek would probably be more than happy to play a squad role compared to Zakaria, who actually is probably wants to go and play a lot more football elsewhere, and I think he's good enough to do that. But whether he's good enough for Chelsea right now, I'm not too sure. So right now, no. If he has a really good end to the season, then yes, potentially. But as of now, no, I don't think Chelsea should be signing Denis Zakaria permanently. But yeah, thanks for those questions, guys. Hope you enjoyed the first Chelsea Q&A. I'll look to do probably another one of these over the international break. So thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you hit the likes, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and leave your thoughts in the comments below, guys. But yeah, until then, I'll catch you again in another video soon. Up the Chelsea.